out. Your Texas Longhorns blown out by the Georgia Bulldogs, 35-10 in Athens. It looked like it was going to be a game in the third quarter, Rod Babers. Texas cut the lead after a touchdown pass from Arch Manning to Ryan Wingo after a Anthony Hill interception. Cut it to 14-10. But the next time the Longhorns got the ball back, it was 28-10 after a touchdown. 2 fourth-down conversions by Georgia, followed by an onside kick and a subsequent touchdown as well. Kirby Smart may just have Steve Sarkisian's number, but I think that you can talk about Steve Sarkisian all you want. Kirby Smart's players may have the Texas players' numbers as well. This episode of the Postgame brought to you by our friends over at Flight by Yingling. We'll talk a little bit more about them. Rod, your initial reactions here.
Yeah, I mean, you got out-coached, got outplayed. There's no doubt about that. And I think, ultimately for Texas, now there's kind of a psychological kind of, inferiority complex maybe developing when it comes to Georgia as well. By the way, a lot of teams and programs have that against Georgia because they are the standard. This was kind of a referendum, as I said, on Texas football. Like, where are you? Where's Sark in terms of being able to match wits with arguably the best coach in college football? Where's Arch now going up against one of the better defenses and one of the obviously best defensive minds in college football on the road in Athens? Lines of scrimmage, right? If you want to beat Georgia, everybody knows you got to win the lines of scrimmage. It's going to be a fight. You got to win the fight, and the fight starts on the line of scrimmage. Was Texas ready to win that fight? No, Texas was not ready to win that fight. So Texas lost the line of scrimmage. So in all those those referendums that I talked about, Texas failed to meet the standard in any of those really in this game. So that's the crushing, I think, situation for Texas and Texas fans is that, and very disappointing, is that you got to go back to the basics now. You are not on Georgia's level, and now, the college football playoff seems like that's a faint, kind of a faint hope potentially, but not something that's realistic right now for Texas, considering where they are.
Rod, I want to come back to multiple issues that we saw in the game. Texas busted coverages all night long.
Oh, yeah.
3 of the 5 Georgia touchdowns came against busted coverages. Also, Texas run game, again, could not get on track. Whether they abandoned it too quickly is a discussion point that I think is fair. But penalties, brutal. Longhorns, again, just penalty after penalty. Sloppy football from Texas. End up with 9 for the game. Not good. Other piece of it, drops in the first half. We said Texas had to have a clean game from its wide receivers. They did not get it in the first half of this football game. Georgia capitalizing on a bunch of short passes and utilizing their tight ends again and again and again. You see the stats right there with some of the Georgia receivers. Their tight ends really just Texas seemed to have no answer for them in short yardage. And other times, Texas made a game of it. But the long story short, I think the better team won tonight. I think that's clear. You guys, we can say, well, Sark didn't do this, Sark didn't do that. Okay, that's fine. But the better team won tonight, in my opinion. Look, Rod, you and your feel for some of those coverage busts that you're seeing on the back end from the defense, and is this something they can rectify, or is it something that's unique to Georgia with all those? I mean, sometimes they're in 13%.
Yeah, I mean, they definitely had Texas a little discombobulated early. I even talked about that on the broadcast. And some of them weren't necessarily coverage busts as so much as technique errors, and lapses. Take the touchdown that Cade Phillips gave up, right? Where you have the safety inside and you got a linebacker dropping to the slant or whatever, that kind of curl area there. So you had multiple defenders that were helping you inside. He initially was outside leverage, and yet he overcommitted to the inside cut, and there was no need to do that. You should have been late to the inside cut, if anything, and overcommit to outside cuts because you got multiple guys helping you inside, and yet they're able to run the whip on him, get some separation, and call the touchdown. Take the first touchdown Jalen Gilbo, they bumped the coverage over because of the motion, and he ends up out leveraged because he bumps way too far inside, and then allows the minus split receiver in a condensed set, allows him just kind of a free release of field, which you usually get, but he ends up out leveraged because all of his help is inside, and yet he ends up inside too, and there's nobody outside. So just an easy bootleg rollout, hit the out route, touchdown. And yeah, I'm looking at the touchdown they gave up to like the seam route, or I'm looking at that. I think it was a switch concept. I believe it might have been a Michael Taft, issue there. I think he might have given it up, but I got to go back and check it out. Either way, you got multiple coverage busts and technique errors on the back end, and there's no doubt Georgia took advantage of that. Georgia knew that your secondary was going to be a little bit in some chaos, predictably, because of lack of continuity and some of the personnel packages and formations that they presented you with, and they did a really good job of kind of keeping you on your heels as a secondary.
Look at the numbers, Rod. Gunnar Stockton finishes 24 of 29, 187 quarterback rating. Arch Manning finishes 27 of 43 for 251. Total yards, Georgia only outgaining Texas by 80, but it seemed like Georgia was moving the ball almost at will at times, and Texas was having to dig themselves out of holes. Perhaps that's the Georgia short passing game or the Georgia rushing game, which was very helpful. 35 rushes or 25 rushes, excuse me, I can't read that, for 128, 3.7 yards per carry. Texas only 23 yards rushing. Even if you discount Arch Manning's minus 17 yards rushing, the running backs only accounted for 40 total yards on the game. A lot of things to talk about. Kirby Smart made some brilliant calls, I thought, in that third quarter, going for it on 2 4th downs, Rod, instead of punting it back to Texas. Texas having a chance, and he did it on his own 30 or so, the first one, and then again on a 4th and 5, he gets Colin Simmons to jump off sides. Texas had all the momentum in the world if they would have gotten a 3 and out, but they never got the ball back. And Georgia, by the way, 5 for 5 in the red zone, or 4 for 4. However, I don't know how long that one past the free tight end was, but my point is they were perfect. Texas was not. And I think this Georgia team is better than maybe some people are giving it credit for. All right, we're going to take your questions. We're going to talk a little bit more about some of the things Texas could have done a little bit better. But first, we want to say thank you to Flight, the next generation of light beer with only 95 calories. It's an easy drinking upscale light beer designed to elevate your taste buds with just 2.6 carbs per serving. Flight's an easy-to-drink beer with a clean, crisp taste. Try Flight from Yingling. Thanks to the fine folks at Flight, as well as our partners over at Faust Distributing for their sponsorship of On Texas Football. Rod, you take your biggest takeaways from this game to get started here before we get to questions and talk a little bit more.
Unfortunately, it was easy to predict that the running game wasn't going to be able to travel. I believe we said that, and I said that all week long. You're not going to be able to run the ball versus Georgia. That was unfortunate because you'd hope that you'd be able to create some type of balance, and it just wasn't the case. So now, in your 3 games versus Georgia, I think you're averaging, I don't know, less than 1.5 yards per rush. That's troubling because Georgia's all about the lines of scrimmage, right? And Texas did not win the line of scrimmage today. And I think defensively, I like some of the adjustments the defense made, but ultimately, I think the defense dealt with they almost disheartened after the Colin Simmons penalty. And after that, it just felt like they lost their kind of spirit as a defense. Thought they made some good adjustments to keep Texas in the game. The coverage was a little bit tighter. I know they played a lot of loose coverage, gave up some early critical downs, but I thought PK made some nice adjustments. But ultimately, then the dam just broke on that Texas defense. Didn't get enough help from the offense, and ultimately, you got out coached. That onside kick was a hell of a. I did not see that coming either. And I'm not saying that that's not my job. I'm not supposed to see it coming. Sark and his team are supposed to see it coming. I did say that on the live watch that I said Kirby was looking for a kill shot. I said, no, he is. He's looking for a kill shot because he know Texas. If you leave Texas in the game too long, that fourth quarter could end up becoming it could end up becoming crazy. Like it could end up being a toss-up. Look what they did in Mississippi State. Even the Ohio State game, they stuck around too long. And I said, Kirby is looking for a kill shot. And turns out, I think the onside kick was the kill shot that he was looking for. He's like, no, this is when we can do it. This is when we put him away. And he put him away. That was it. I mean, that just totally took the life force out of Texas at that moment. Even the fans, all of us, I'll admit me, I was like, oh, that's it. It's done. Wow. What a call. What a call. Execution. Second time in a row you played him, and he used a special teams clutch moment with scones the size of smart cars with a lot of testicular to put you away. That was impressive. I mean, it really was.
Stones the size of a smart car. Okay. Yeah. I thought the fourth down call in his own territory, up 14-10 at the time, by the way.
Yep, that was another one.
I mean, he coached to win, and he had some plays in his back pocket too. Moving the tackle over, motioning all those. I mean, that was in 13 personnel, I believe. Again.
13, yeah.
He threw it to the running back, I believe.
Yep.
And so I feel like you can say outcoached, and I think that's fair. I think Steve Sarkisian might agree with that tonight at some level. At the same time, I think the Longhorns were outperformed as well. All those drops early. Texas was only down 14-3 at half. Rod, I want to say this. They had 7 penalties at half. They had 4 drops at half.
Yeah.
They were 0 for 6 on third downs. This game, even though it was only 14-3, the mentality of the game seemed to be Texas was just trying to find a way to even scratch and claw and be in it. And the defense kind of held up that. And then to your point, when the dam broke and the water flooded.
So sloppy. The whole house. Sloppy after a bye week to start the game. Yeah. And that was disappointing too, because that was actually, even they talked about it on the broadcast, and watching Georgia this year, everybody knows it because the Georgia fans complain about it. They're a slow starter this year. Yep. They've been the slow starter this year, and then had to make up for it by great adjustments in the second half and winning in clutch time. And yet they started fast in this game, and Texas really never was able to catch up to them ultimately.
Yeah, I think it's interesting because I'll add this. Georgia started fast against Mississippi State last week, and they kind of carried that execution over to the game against Texas as well. All right, a couple of things we need to get to in comments. I will say this as well. 3 games now, Sark has played Kirby Smart, and Texas has not scored a touchdown in the first half. So he may very well have Sark's number at some level. All right, this is from KD35. I'm the best. All that removed recruiting momentum, we had a poof game. Certain players and coaches need to be asked to also take a hike this offseason. KD35, I think that there's going to be a lot of time to discuss that. In the midst of the season may not be it. They've got Arkansas this coming week. They've got to finish with an A&M team that just had a rousing come from behind victory. Yeah. I don't think all the recruiting momentum is poof either, by the way. They need to keep recruiting, particularly on the lines of scrimmage, based on what I saw tonight. Georgia, really impressive on both fronts. Kirby's a 2-time Buddy Powell Chief, big guy. Kirby's a 2-time national champ and defending SEC champ. He has everyone's number outside of Tuscaloosa, Alabama. Some truth to that, Rod?
Yeah, no, it is. But also there's truth to, Sark's we know Sark's got the big win in Tuscaloosa, Alabama over Nick Saban, but he hasn't, been able to consistently be able to match wits with the elite coaches. So he's not an elite coach yet. You can't say he's elite if he can't start beating these elite coaches like Kalen DeBoer and like Kirby Smart, even if you don't like Kalen DeBoer. So take him out of the conversation then. But Kirby Smart is that guy. He's got 3 games against Kirby Smart, and looks like they regressed a little bit in this matchup. We expect to see another tight game. It was not. I mean, Kirby Smart pretty much showed off, and it basically ended up blowing you out, even though it was a tight game for most of the game. Watching the box score, looking at it, you'd be like, oh man, Texas got beat. And I will say, it did feel like Texas had no business being in the game early because of all the mistakes and the sloppy play. It felt like Ohio State early on was like, man, I can't believe they're still in this game. And then when they scored 14-10, I thought, Okay, now you got something going. And I think that's when Kirby started looking for kill shots going, okay, they shouldn't be in this game. Like we're better than them, and we've shown them on the field. Why is this game so close? And that's when I think he started looking for kill shots, offensive play calling, and of course the onside kick.
Yeah, brutal. We'll have CJ Vogel join us here momentarily. I think Jerry Hamilton's going to try to check in as well. But we are, if you're just now joining us, been over 1,000 people joining us in the last 5 minutes. Texas loses to Georgia 35-10. An onslaught by the Bulldogs in that second half, particularly the fourth quarter, scoring 21 unanswered points to the Longhorns. All right, this one from Jay Inch. This offseason, Sark will need to find an OC so he can focus on being an HC. If not, he has found his ceiling. Rod, is this coming closer to being a truth in your opinion, or not so much?
No, he needs to consider it. I mean, this is the worst offense he's had, right, since 2000, going back to his days at Washington. And with the talent level, there's no excuse for that. And so, I mean, I think it is, if he's looking at the man in the mirror and he's examining every possible option to get this program to the promised land, that needs to be one of them. Can the offense overall be better with me in a head coaching delegating role as opposed to being the play caller and the head coach? He should consider, is he going to find somebody he believes is better than him? That's the question. I don't know, but he should definitely look at it. If he doesn't look at it, that's being stubborn. That's a little being stubborn. And if you get back-to-back years of this, then Longhorn fans they're going to lose their patience with the offense.
Yeah, I think that, my take on this is if Kirby Smart is calling the defense and every single defensive call, are they able to create some of these third downs or some of these short yardage fourth down type things that they had so much success on? Jerry Hamilton, you're joining us now. We'll have CJ Vogel here from down at Sanford Stadium in Athens in a minute. Jerry, your initial thoughts on this game?
Yeah, so one of my thoughts I've had in the fourth quarter of this game, when I look, Texas is an undisciplined team. Rod, we said it during the third quarter. We've said it multiple times. They're an undisciplined football team, whether that's dropping catches, whether that's penalty at inopportune times, special teams, or otherwise, third down penalties. It's proven to be an undisciplined football team this year. I guess one of my big takeaways after 3 games against Georgia is when I look at coaches and I say, okay, where'd you coach? Well, there's a commonality. Both these guys coached under Nick Saban, who I think anybody would we all say is the greatest coach we've ever seen in college football. Yes. Who do we think took more from Nick Saban and has applied it to their team in the SEC? It's obviously Kirby Smart. So what lessons did Sark learn from Nick Saban while he was there? Or did he leave Alabama and he's doing it his way at Texas and Kirby's doing it more Nick Saban's way at Georgia? And that's physicality, that's aggressiveness, physicality in your run game, physicality and aggressiveness in your defense. It seems to me that when you look at these two coaches and the difference between these two programs after 3 games, if Nick Saban's the greatest that ever coached, who took more from that guy and has applied it to their program? And that's Kirby Smart.
Yeah, I think that's a fair statement at this point, Jerry. But my thought process is specifically on this game and where you're going with that, because the things that we saw, I thought Texas got just beat up.
Yeah,
I really did. I mean, I thought that the offensive line gave Arch enough time at times, but I mean, look, their offensive line moved Texas early off the ball. Their defensive line didn't give anything up really in the run game. This is a talented Georgia team, and probably several years ahead of where Sark was when he took over at Texas. But we'll see where it goes. All right, we got to get to some questions here from everybody. Nicolini Murrell was downhill after that ref delay to help Kirby on 4th and 1. Yeah, the ref delay. Did they even ring down to actually take a second look at the play, or was it a challenge by Kirby Smart that ended up wrong? I don't know, but that sure did take a long time to ring down for a challenge and then give Georgia a chance to set up that short yardage play, guys. I agree with you.
Yeah.
All right. JP, Sark needs to be a HC, not the OC. It's on him. I think there may be some truth to that. We'll see exactly what that means. I don't see how him being a head coach. All right. Look, 5 touchdowns scored on Saturday night. 3 of them from bust in the secondary. That's not the head coach ain't gonna fix that.
He's not.
Coaches on that side of the ball. I mean, what do you think, Rod?
I mean, he's not, and I know Sark mentioned this a couple of years ago. I don't know how much time he spends with the defense. And I remember at one point saying, I have to start spending more time with the defense, or I have been spending more time on the defense side of the ball in those meetings, looking at coverages and trying to help out the defensive coaches as well. That is part of your job as a head coach. that's part of it. So I agree. He that's not his fault and his responsibility, but ultimately as a head coach, you are responsible for making sure that the defense is executing at a high level. So how much time is he spending in the defensive meeting room? And it's hard to do that if you call the plays and the OC and the head coach and all that kind of stuff. So that's a question, but that's something Sark says he looks at all the time, right? How much time he's spending coaching the coaches and with game planning and all that kind of stuff. So something he'll evaluate in the offseason, I'm sure.
Yeah, he's going to have to. If Texas wants to do it. It sounds like we're having some connectivity issues with either Twitter or StreamYard here on this broadcast. If you're having problems hearing us, please let us know. Have to either restart the show or do something else if it continues. But we'll check in a second with you guys. All right, this from Too Broke to Pay Attention. Don't want the college football playoff this year. We're not ready. Give me 8-4 so that some serious reflection can be done within this program. Judge me if you want. Sorry, not sorry. I don't think you're wrong about that. I think there needs to be serious reflection. And I would say that needs to be the case every year, but perhaps particularly this year when you may have misjudged some things to get started. And I don't know. I mean, may not be at cornerback still. 9 games or 10 games into the season. You don't have to be sorry about it. I would like the college football playoff though. We can still keep that in. I just want the serious reflection.
Yeah,
is what I would say. All right, this one from 57 Cal. Elite coaching is the opportunity closing the lead to 4 and then you not giving them the ball back until you're up 18. Sark has to figure out how to be ruthless so the team can model that. Wow. Some truth there, guys.
No, Kirby, like I said, you could tell the way Kirby coached that game that he was looking to put Texas away. It wasn't enough to just have a lead. He wanted to put Texas away, almost put them down, which is basically what he ended up doing with the onside kick. So I agree with that to a certain degree. I do think there's a certain mindset that Sark's got to have coming into this game. Right, drops, penalties. It's hard for you as a coach to keep an aggressive mindset when your players aren't executing. And so that's a failure on all levels, not only for the coaches, but on the players. And coming out of a bye week, that's the most disappointing thing. Coming out of a bye week and you're sloppy. Like what?
Two times this year.
Yeah.
2 times this year. Florida was a bye week too, right?
Yeah, man. And that was Florida was two of the sloppiest games were our bye weeks.
Yeah. Are we about to restart this thing?
I don't think so. I was asking Matt whether or not we needed to. We'll keep going here. Sark, still think Sark is a better coach than James Franklin. Yes, I do. I'll say it. I don't have a problem with that. James Franklin, just not my guy. Juan Garza, we're undisciplined like the 8-5 team in 2022. Fair. I believe Sark will get this fixed in this offseason, and this team will be really better for next year. We might play next year with teams with 5 new head coaches. That's true. I will say this. This is somewhat similar to that 2022 team. Young quarterback at the time, right? With Quinn Ewers. What do you think, Rod or Jerry? Y'all have any comments on this one?
Yeah, I think we all have differing opinions. Look, guys, kind of goes back to what I said earlier. Who mirrors more closely to Nick Saban of the guys that worked under Nick Saban? This is a physical league. This is a physical mentality football league. If you're not of that mindset with your offense and defense in this league, if you don't have a downhill run game, and it's not about firing an offensive line coach and bringing a new offensive line coach if nothing else changes around it. It's not about going to get guys in the portal if you're not going to change what you are. It's just not going to matter. It doesn't work that way. You either have to have a total overhaul in what you think you need to be in the SEC, or you have a tough road. This is a physical league. Games are won.
Hey, Jerry, I'm sorry to cut you off. We are going to have to restart. Okay. We're going to need a restart. Okay. Guys, there will be a new link. If you're on YouTube, please join us. We have to restart because there was a bad connection here and people cannot hear us correctly. So we're going to restart. It'll be available on YouTube coming soon.